Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the #Truth Challenge podcast, where I talk about the whole truth and nothing but the truth in regards to relationships, mental health, adulthood, all of the things. I am back with another episode and I'm so excited to be here. I'm just happy. All the good things, all the good vibes, all the good energy. First of all, shout out to my homegirl Jay. She got me this shirt for Christmas like a year ago, and I'm just now wearing it. TaMiaSpeaks. Period. And it has #Truth Challenge on the back. Thank you, Jay. I love my shirt. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about breaking the rules. And when I say breaking the rules, I mean breaking the rules and the norms, right? Like societal norms, or maybe there's just certain unsaid rules and lifestyles that you have to live by. I really feel like this breaking of the rules, specifically with family, is really breaking generational curses. Curses sound so like indefinite, curses sound like forever, but even more so can be defined by generational trauma, right? So there's this thing called epigenetics, which is basically the scientific proof, the study of the thought and the understanding that the trauma that we have, the trauma of our ancestors, is in our DNA. And so we have this understanding of certain things, right? There were certain things you just had to do to survive. Okay, and they were really trauma responses, and fast forward down the line, we're still doing some of those things. There are certain things that we just may not necessarily need to do anymore to survive or get ahead in the world, but it may need to be modified, and sometimes those trauma responses can bring more harm than good, right? And they could just even simply be expectations. Like when you think about the expectation of what your family wants you to do or to be, which is mainly go to school, get a great job, first get married, then have kids, and then live happily ever after and like make a lot of money. Like go to school for something that makes sense to go to school for, where you can get a job where you're gonna be making a decent amount of money or a lot of money. It's just like all these rules. And so again, when we get to our generation where we kind of stray away from that, and we are frowned upon from our families, where it's this thing where they just don't understand and they don't get it, because for them what worked, right? And for us it's becoming something else because society is going in a different direction. We are waking up to certain things that we don't like about society. We are understanding ourselves better. We are most importantly understanding what happiness is for us, what fulfillment is, what joy is, what it really means to live life. And sometimes those expectations and those trauma responses don't line up to what we really want for ourselves. And I know it can be really difficult to break generational trauma, because again, it's just like in your DNA. But I think that we have a lot of tools and a lot of resources here for us to be able to use, to be able to help us navigate life differently and help navigate life better. A lot of us grew up with strong family ties, and even if you didn't, there's still like this need to want to please your parents and just please anybody that you look up to or that you see as an example in life. So sometimes it's hard to do something different because you're still wanting that validation, you're still wanting that hand clap, you're still wanting that good job from that person that would just simply be proud of you. I think that all it takes is for us to do something different. So a lot of people say, how do I break a generational curse, or how do I break generational trauma? And when we use that term in the lingo, and especially like with all of the podcasts that are available and all of the professional information that is right at our fingertips, it can tend to get very complicated as to how we go about undoing what has been so tightly done. And I think the first step, which is always the hardest step, but the first step is to just simply do something different. We are getting better at finding our own voices, that even though, oh, we have a visitor. I know for me, it's been really difficult because I have a completely different idea of what I want to do with my life, right? I have a completely different idea of what I want a career to look like, what I want my relationships to look like. I didn't have the support of the people that I felt like I needed most. That's just hard. Like, simply put, that's just hard. But I think it was more important to me to create a world that I enjoyed living in, rather than creating a world that other people would like for me to live. So it started with just like small things, like going to therapy, you know, getting professional help, really trying to unpack certain things, really trying to address myself. Having better self-awareness, because listen, I don't know if y'all be around like your family or anybody from like the previous generation, and you realize how clueless they are about their own behavior, responses, and like how it just doesn't make sense, or how it can be harmful or toxic. And then you decide you don't want to live that cluelessly, like you don't want to be that clueless in life. And then it's not even really an insult, honestly, because again, some things they were just doing to survive, but at a certain point, there's nothing to survive, and you have to survive to be able to live in this world, obviously. But again, I think that we're learning that happiness is the most important thing. Having a sense of joy, having a sense of authenticity is the most important thing. And when we're making decisions that don't serve that authenticity, that don't serve that joy, that don't serve that happiness, that doesn't serve that purpose, it almost is like, why am I doing this? There's no point in it. There's no intention in it, because you're literally doing something because someone else decided that this is what life looks like. And so you realize you don't have any real attachment to anything. You just have attachments to other people's ideas. You have attachments to other people's understanding and their perspectives. And then you realize that they don't really know what happiness is. They don't really understand what it means to be full of life and joy, and to really have genuine, healthy love. And then you're like, so what are we doing again? What's happening? Because clearly nobody knows what's what. And so as we just kind of move forward through life, and we navigate, and we most importantly, we understand ourselves. I believe that this man and his bike been getting on my nerves, but we'll leave that for another day. Okay. That self-awareness is the beginning of wholeness. Okay, to know yourself and then be confident in what you know about yourself. And I think that just as you go, that confidence builds, right? So when we're making decisions to do something different, to change the narrative, to change the course and the direction of our lives, for not just for ourselves, but just the generations to come after us. One of those things where you like take that big leap and it's scary, but once you do it, your confidence builds with the amount of trust that you have in yourself, the amount of confidence that you have to be able to make smart decisions. The confidence grows. It's something that with practice comes strength and comes endurance, because the first step seems really, really, really scary. It's scary because it's almost like the first thing you're really doing on your own. Nobody's helping you, nobody's supporting you. There's not really much of a blueprint. Like, it's not that you're the first to really do this thing, but when you're the first to do it in your family, or when there really isn't a global blueprint of how to do something, that can be nerve-wracking. And it's like, okay, so how do I navigate? How do I move? And then what'll happen is you'll make a decision that no one around you has really done. You kind of, like I said, you taking that beep beep, beep, bop, beep, bop, beep, boop. You're taking that big leap, and you see that part of it works out. It doesn't solve all of the problems, right? It doesn't get you from point A to point Z, but it gets you somewhere. And you're like, okay, I see what I did there. I see what was up. Let me keep moving. And so that confidence grows as you continue to take those steps moment by moment, day by day, and making those decisions that best benefit you. And so then comes this confidence that you didn't really know existed, right? Because all of the other confidence that you've had, all of the other faith that you may have had was built off of what someone else has made of their life, which is not necessarily wrong, right? We look at other people's stories and we look at their lives to be able to try to understand what we're doing. But when we're doing something different and we're veering off and we're creating another lane for ourselves, it just becomes a whole new can of worms to open up. And there's going to be a lot of questioning yourself. That's okay. There's going to be a lot of probably arguments with family. That's okay. You're probably going to have to set new boundaries that you didn't think you would have to, and that's okay. There's going to be times of, being alone, and that's okay. There are going to be times when you cry, and that's okay. There are going to be times when maybe it doesn't work out and you're trying to figure out, maybe I need to dial back and try it another way. That's okay. We're all living and we're learning, and we're trying to make sure that we don't just follow these rules that have been set in place for us, whether it's by society, family, or it's embedded in our DNA to respond a certain way. We want to be able to examine ourselves, be self-aware enough to say, okay, this is what has happened, but this is what I want to happen. And you may not even be at that point yet. You might just be at a point where you just realize change needs to happen, but you don't know how the change is going to come, what it's going to look like, or what it needs to be. And that too is okay. I think that we get confused sometimes because we feel like we have to have all the answers in order to move. We have to know that it's all going to work out in order to move. But you don't need to know that. You just need to know that you don't need to be in the place that you're in anymore. That's it. That's it. You just need to be uncomfortable enough with where you are, who you are, where you are. I don't know if I said that one already. You just need to know that something different needs to happen. And so if you're at that point, even now, that's enough. And then the rest will come as time goes, and you'll be able to navigate situations that you can decide, is this in the best interest for myself in the future that I'm trying to create or not? I think it's also going to be important to always keep an open mind, always keep, just stay inspired, because I think that sometimes we go on these journeys and it's gonna get discouraging, it's gonna get hard, but it's a little easier when there's always a glimmer of light, right? Being able to say, okay, this can happen, like I can make this happen. And there's always gonna be adversity. Like sometimes there's just always gonna be things against you, people, places, things, right? But I believe that you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. Create a chain, a ripple effect, a damn wrinkle in time, okay? And it changes everything. But I do want to stress that, and again, hear me with your heart when I say this. I do want to stress that right now it's about you. When I say it's about you, I don't mean in a selfish way. I don't mean in a narcissistic, self-absorbed type of way. Right now it's about you because you deserve to be a priority. It's about you because you deserve to have healthy boundaries. It's about you because you deserve to be happy. It's about you because you deserve change. It's about you because you deserve good things. It's about you because you just deserve to be authentic. It is a human right. It is a necessity to be our pure selves. And that is not an excuse to continue toxic behaviors. It's not an excuse to continue in willful ignorance, but it is just it is a peace. It is a peace. It is an inner peace to just be yourself, regardless of who's there to support it or not, regardless of who's there cheering you on, rooting you on. You deserve to be you. You need you, not everybody else. You need you. You need you. This is the only life that you have right now, that we're aware of, that we know of. And why not fill it with possibility and innovativeness and good health, great spiritual experiences, great relationships, healthy love. Why not fill it with good things? So when we're thinking about this topic of breaking the rules, think about what's really at stake when you stick to the status quo, when you do what you've always done, when you do what society tells you is right, cool, popular, on brand, trending, when you do what your parents say that you need to do to be successful, to be accepted, to be loved, what's at stake? What's the risk of that? Because it will be perpetual unhappiness, restlessness, unease, just over and over and over and over and over again. Please. I know, okay? So I think that as we continue to break rules, as we continue to heal generational trauma, break the cycles, comes that confidence of even more authenticity and more truth to self, truth to power. And that within itself is healing. And I it's healing to yourself, and it'll begin to radiate off of you into everybody else around you. It really will. It really will. That's gonna be it for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Please share this. Please like it. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already. I'm not on Instagram. I'm thinking about deleting my Instagram because it don't be giving what it was supposed to have gave. But I am on TikTok. You can find me on TikTok at TaMiaSpeaks. You can also find me on YouTube at TaMiaSpeaks. Again, share, like, comment, subscribe, all the things. If there's anything that you want me to talk about or expound on, please leave me a comment, DM me on whatever platform. I can go ahead and answer that for you. So again, thank you for tuning in. If you are watching, thank you so much for your presence. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your time, because you didn't have to give it. And I'll catch y'all in the next episode. Peace.